This is Tony T here from Tony'sPicks.com with our college football pick show. This is week 7, part 4. We have the remaining 12 games for Saturday. So after we shoot this video, we'll have all Saturday games already up on our channel. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots of free picks on our channel, delivered by myself as well as our team of cappers here at Tony'sPicks.com, making it a great channel to subscribe to. Give us a like, a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Of course, we go live every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. It is the Tony Explore Show. Check it out and interact with us in the live chat. We are looking for cappers. Apply. Send us an email to our homepage, and we'll get the process started for you. If you're interested in joining us, then visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com. We're a multi-capper site showcasing top performers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers. Get signed up to a long-term pass. You see our top performers up here, guys like Sean Higgs, Rod Mills up there doing great work for the year. Bittler has been red hot up on the leaderboards as well. Solo hitting the boards. DeAndre Stevenson doing great. Latest print picks here. So the page with best bets and more will be locked and loaded for this card here on Friday. Remember, all of our one-day passes are profit guaranteed. They must turn a profit. Amount purchased is credit back to your capper site credits. That's profit guaranteed. Then our promo code TonyT at checkout knocks off that 15%. The link's in the description to get signed up. So let's go ahead. Let's get this one underway. All right, we're going to get started here with Clemson here going up against Boston College. I think here we go, got it right here for Saturday night. All right, we got Clemson now 2-3 after their 38-10 road win at North Carolina. The Tigers were held to under 3 yards per rush, but were effective in the passing game. They held the Tar Heels to 57 yards rushing and 5.1 yards per pass attempt. Kate Klubnik in the game, 22 of 24 for 254 yards with 4 touchdowns. Boston College fell to 1-4 after a 48-7 road defeat to Pittsburgh. The Eagles rushed for only 27 yards and were limited in the passing game. They allowed 172 yards rushing to the Panthers for 4 yards a carry, with 331 yards passing for 7.4 yards per pass attempt. Dylan Longren, 9 of 18 passing for 89 yards in the game. 4 straight losses for BC with poor defensive performance. Clemson in conference play is rushing for 4.6 yards a carry, with 323 yards passing for 7.7 yards per pass attempt. They defended well in the conference. BC struggles in the ACC with pass defense and offensive production. They're allowing 66% completion rate for 7.6 yards per pass attempt. The Tigers 4-2 to the spread on the road on the Phil Turf. Pick here, Clemson -14. Michigan and USC going off on Saturday. Michigan now 4-1 after their 24-10 home victory against Wisconsin. The Wolverines rushed for 175 yards for 5.1 yards a carry and were effective in the passing game. They limited the Badgers to under 3 yards per rush and limited their passing game as well. Bryce Underwood here, 19 of 28 passing for 270 yards with a pick. USC now 4-1 after a 34-32 road defeat at Illinois. The Trojans rushed for 126 yards for 3.7 yards a carry, and they were effective in the passing game. They allowed 508 yards to Illinois with poor work against the run and pass. Jaden Mavia, 30 of 43 passes for 364 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Trojans in their past 2 Big Ten games allowed 34 and 32 points. Michigan rushing for 7.2 yards a carry in the conference. On defense in the Big Ten, they're allowing a 69% completion rate. USC is putting up good offensive numbers in the Big Ten, but extremely poor defending in the passing game with 287 yards per game, 9.7 yards per pass attempt. USC 12-4, the over at home. Pick here, Michigan USC over 57.5. Kansas and Texas Tech going off on Saturday. Kansas now 4-2 after a 27-20 road victory at UCF. The Jayhawks rushed for 121 yards for 3.8 yards a carry with efficiency in the passing game. They limited the Knights' aerial attack and allowed 199 yards rushing for 5.1 yards per rush. Jalen Daniels in the game, 18 of 26 passing for 235 yards. Texas Tech now 5-0 after their 35-11 road win at Houston. The Red Raiders rushed for 207 yards and 4.2 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They limit the Cougars' ground attack and allowed 164 yards passing for 6.6 yards per pass attempt. Baron Morton here, 28 of 40 passing for 345 yards with a touchdown. Texas Tech 2 road games in conference pounded Houston by 24 and Utah by 24 as well. Kansas losses came at home to Cincinnati and at Missouri by 11. Kansas on the road rushing for just 2.5 yards a carry with poor defensive play by allowing 5.3 yards per run 68% completion rate. Red Raiders offense averaging 328 yards passing for 8.7 yards per pass attempt, and great defense against the Big 12 this season. Jayhawks 5-8 to the spread on the road. The Red Raiders 9-3 to the spread at home as a favorite. Pick here Texas Tech -14. Rice and UTSA going off here on Saturday. Rice fell to 3-3 after a 27-21 home defeat to FAU. The Owls rushed for 213 yards for 4.4 yards a carry. They limited FAU on the ground, but allowed 290 yards passing for 8.8 yards per pass attempt. Chase Jenkins in the game, 12-17, passing for 137 yards with a touchdown. He had a rushing score. UTSA fell to 2-3 after a 27-21 road defeat at Temple. The Roadrunners rushed for 2.3 yards a carry and ineffective in the passing game. They allowed 4 yards per rush to the Owls with 181 yards passing for 7.2 yards per pass attempt. On McCown here, 25-37 passing for 234 yards with 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Rice was competitive in a recent road game at Navy and won at Charlotte by 11. UTSA has failed to cover the pass three against FBS schools. The Owls have defended the run and pass well this year. UTSA has struggled with quarterback efficiency and allowing 8.1 yards per pass attempt. The Owls 3-1 the spread as road underdog of 7.5 to 14 points. Pick here Rice plus 11.5. Georgia and Auburn going off here on Saturday. We've got here Georgia now 4-1 after a 35-14 home victory against Kentucky. The Bulldogs rushed for 180 yards for 4.1 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They limited Kentucky to 2 yards per carry and defended the pass well. Gunnar Stockton in the game, 15-23, passing for 196 yards with a touchdown and a pick. He rushed for 48 yards and 2 scores. Auburn 3-2 with their 16-10 road defeat to Texas A&M. The Tigers rushed for 2.2 yards a carry and were inefficient in the passing game. They allowed 207 yards of rushing to the Aggies for 4.4 yards a carry and 207 passing yards, 9.5 yards per attempt. Jackson Arnold in the game, 18-33, passing for 125 yards. Georgia has a road win at Tennessee. Auburn against the SEC is rushing for 2 yards a carry and poor in the passing game. Georgia has produced good offensive performance in conference with 4.7 yards per rush and efficient quarterback work. They're holding conference foes to 3.1 yards a carry. Auburn below 1-5 the spread at home on a road game. Pick here Georgia -3.5. South Carolina and LSU going off on Saturday. South Carolina now 3-2 after a 35-13 home victory against Kentucky. The Gamecocks rushed for 178 yards for 3.7 yards a carry and efficient in the passing game. They limited the Wildcats' running game and allowed 124 passing yards for 6.5 yards per pass attempt. Honora Sellers in the game, 11-14, passing for 153 yards. He rushed for 81 yards in the game. LSU fell to 4-1, a 24-19 road defeat to Ole Miss. The Tigers were limited on the ground for under 3 yards a carry and inefficient in the passing game. They allowed 480 yards to the Rebels with 4.1 yards per rush and 314 passing yards for 8.1 yards per pass attempt. Garrett Nussmeier in the game, 21-34, passing for 197 yards with a touchdown and pick. LSU has been held to 23 points or fewer in their 4 games against FBS competition. They have struggled running the football and only averaged 7 yards per pass attempt behind a Heisman candidate quarterback, returning quarterback, by the way. The Gamecocks are holding opponents to just under 19 points a game and have been accurate and efficient at the quarterback position. South Carolina 8-2 the spread on the road. LSU 2-5 the spread at home upon a road game. Pick here South Carolina plus the 9. BYU and Arizona going off on Saturday. BYU 5-0 after their 38-24 home victory against West Virginia. The Cougars gained 516 yards with 4 yards per rush and great work from their passing game. They limited the Mountaineers' passing game and allowed 156 yards rushing for 3.3 yards a carry. Bear Bachmeier in the game, 18-25, passing for 351 yards with a touchdown and pick. He rushed for 43 yards and a score. Arizona now 4-1 after a 41-13 home victory against Oklahoma State. The Wildcats were limited to under 2 yards per rush but threw effectively. They held the Cowboys to 2.9 yards per rush and 69 passing yards. Noah Fafita here, 28-38, passing for 376 yards with 5 touchdowns and a pick. Arizona's lone loss came on the road at Iowa State by 25. BYU won both road games with Colorado and East Carolina. In conference play, the Cougars rushed for 4.9 yards a carry and get good quarterback play. Arizona against the Big 12 has been one-dimensional with poor running. The pass defense was poor for Arizona in a loss to Iowa State. BYU could be an upper-tier team like that, like those Cyclones there. Cougars 3-1 the spread on the road, one line between +3 and -3. Pick here will be BYU -1.5. Troy and Texas State going off here on Saturday. Troy now 3-2 after a 31-24 home victory to South Alabama in overtime. The Trojans rushed for 217 yards for 4.8 yards a carry and effective in the passing game. They limited the Jaguars' passing game, allowed 265 yards passing for 4.7 yards per pass attempt. Tucker Gilchrist here, 13-21 passing for 203 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. He rushed for 102 yards and a score. Texas State now 3-2 after their 31-30 road defeat at Arkansas State. Bobcats gained 519 yards with effective rushing and passing. They allowed 150 yards rushing to the Redwoods for 4.4 yards a carry and 248 passing yards for 7.1 yards per pass attempt. Brad Jackson in the game, 18-26 passing for 230 yards with a touchdown. He rushed for 131 yards and a score. Troy has covered both road games with a win at Buffalo and an 11-point loss at Clemson. Texas State has played a weak schedule at home. The Trojans on the road limit opponents to 3.8 yards a carry and 6.7 yards per pass attempt. They've been efficient in the passing game in conference overall. The Trojans 6-2 the spread on the road in conference. Pick here Troy +8. New Mexico and Boise State going off here on Saturday. New Mexico fell to 3-2 after a 35-28 road defeat to San Jose State. The Lobos rushed for 3 yards a carry and were effective at throwing the football. They allowed 487 yards to the Spartans, but poorly defending the run and pass. Jack Lane here, 28-40 passing for 344 yards and 3 picks. Boise State sits at 3-2 with their 28-7 road defeat at Notre Dame. The Broncos rushed for 3 yards a carry and couldn't do enough in the passing game. They allowed 200 yards rushing to the Fighting Irish for 6.5 yards a carry and 189 yards passing for 8.2 yards per pass attempt. Max Madsen here, 22-37 passing for 215 yards and 4 picks. Mexico has been throwing the football well in conference with 70% completion rate, 8.6 yards per pass attempt. Boise State has defended poorly in the Mountain West by allowing 5 yards per rush and 12.1 yards per pass attempt. The Lobos 2-0 the spread as a road underdog of +14.5 to +21 points. Pick here New Mexico +16.5. Arizona State and Utah going off here on Saturday. We've got here Arizona State now 4-1 after a 27-24 home victory against TCU. The Sun Devils gained 498 yards with effectively running and throwing the football. On defense, they held the Horned Frogs to 10 rushing yards and 259 passing yards for 7.8 yards per pass attempt. ASU recorded 6 sacks. Sam Levitt, 27-39 passing for 291 yards and 2 touchdowns. He rushed for 62 yards and a score. Utah 4-1 after a 48-14 road win at West Virginia. The Utes gained 532 yards with good rushing and passing in the victory. They limited the Mountaineers through the air and allowed 261 yards rushing for 5.5 yards a carry. Devin Dampier 21-26 passing for 237 yards and 4 touchdowns and a pick. Sun Devils' only loss came at Mississippi State by 4. The Sun Devils' passing game has struggled on the road with accuracy and efficiency. They struggled against the pass on the highway. The Utes at home rushing for 5 yards a carry and completing 71% of their passes. The Utes 2-0 to the spread at home on a bye. The pick here Utah -5.5. San Diego State and Nevada going off on Saturday. We've got here San Diego State now 4-1 after a 45-24 home victory against Colorado State. The Aztecs gained 540 yards with great performance with the run and pass. They allowed 4.2 yards per rush to the Rams with 206 passing yards for 6.9 yards per pass attempt. Jaden Denigal, 13 of 16 passing for 256 yards with 2 touchdowns. Nevada now 1-4 after a 20-17 road defeat at Fresno State. The Wolfpack rushed for 129 yards for 3.8 yards a carry with ineffective passing. They allowed 152 yards rushing to the Bulldogs for 4.2 yards a carry with 7.3 yards per pass attempt. Carter Jones here, 11 of 15 passes for 121 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Diego State in their road games rushing for 3.2 yards a carry and getting poor quarterback play as they average 9.5 yards per game. The Wolfpack at home rushing for 5.8 yards a carry and have stopped the run. Pick here Nevada plus 7.5. Utah State and Hawaii going off on Saturday. We've got Utah State falling to 3-2 after a 55-35 road defeat at Vanderbilt. The Aggies rushed for 119 yards for 4.8 yards per rush and moved the ball through the air. They gave up 543 yards to the Commodores and poorly defended the run and pass. Bryson Barnes, 15-22 passes for 161 yards for 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 48 yards in the game. Hawaii 4-2 after a 44-35 road win at Air Force. The Warriors were limited on the ground and passed the ball well. They allowed 494 yards to the Falcons, poorly defending the run and pass. Micah Alejado completed 35 of 47 passes for 457 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Warriors have a home loss to Fresno State. The Aggies have covered all 5 games. The Warriors are rushing for 3.5 yards a carry and struggling with quarterback efficiency. Utah State rushing for 5 yards a carry with good quarterback play as they average 8.6 yards per pass attempt. Take care Utah State minus 1.5. For more free pick videos, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots of free picks over our channel, delivered by myself as well as our team of cappers here at Tony'sPicks.com, making it a great channel to subscribe to. Hit us up with that like, that thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit our site, Tony'sPicks.com, for our best bets. Our pre and plays are there. And of course, our promo code TonyT at checkout knocks off that 15%. The link's in the description to get signed up. That's going to do it for now. I'm Tony T, and we'll talk with you guys later.